Go outside and look around. You won't see this in 20 years, because America as you know it will be dead. And before you think that I'm just a crazy YouTube guy, why don't you do something that you probably never did? Check immigration statistics. Did you know that in 20 years, for the first time ever, whites, Caucasians will be minorities? We are going to be minorities. That means you, if you're white, in 20 years, in your lifetime, and maybe even earlier than those 20 years, will be a minority. That means when you go outside, you will rarely see other whites. Do you want that? Does that make you comfortable to live in a neighborhood where you're a minority? Latinos will be the new majority, and every single time that a majority changed, so did the country. Wouldn't you agree that every single country is the way that it is because of the people that live there? Would America be America if it was started by the Chinese? Would China be China if Indians were the majority? Would Mexico be Mexico if the Chinese were the majority? Seriously, if the Chinese created Mexico, would Mexico be the Mexico that it is today? Now, I have no problems with Latinos, but if I wanted to live in a Latino country, I'd move to one. And did you vote for this change? Because I didn't. Did anyone ask you if you wanted it? I, for one, want to keep living in the United States of America. Want to know what happened when a majority changes? Google Kosovo. We have this belief that a thing called globalism, multiculturalism, is a solution to all of our problems, such as racism. The solution is no borders and no countries, that everyone is the same. That sounds great and fair, right? Except we had it before. It's called the Stone Age. No borders, no countries. Then we became civilized and created countries. Every single country on the face of the earth was started by a unique group of people with the same culture, beliefs, and identity, so they could have their own home, their own place in the world to live in the way that they want. And globalists want to take that right away. That is the same reason why you have your own home for just you and your family. Are you hateful if you don't share it with everyone else? Think about it. Seriously, are you hateful? Are you a racist if you don't share your home with everyone else? You just want to have it for your family when you don't oppose them having their own home. How is that wrong? Do you deny an ethnic group their own home? Because they will cease to exist if they don't have their own home. 90% of the world already rejected, and they never agreed to that. And we're talking about our allies, Israel, India, Japan, the rest of the world. 90% of the world. And you know what? We pay them our taxes as aid, by the way. They all reject globalism, multiculturalism openly with laws. And if you agree with globalism, multiculturalism, then you must believe that Israel, that India, that all of those countries are racist places, and that we know better than them. And you know why we think that we know better than them? Because we have white guilt. We believe that a race of people that we belong to are responsible for all the problems in the world. That even though every single race, ethnicity had slaves and committed genocide and invaded other countries, we blame it all only on us, even though everybody did it. Arabs invaded Europe and had slaves. Asians invaded Europe and had slaves. Africans still have slaves to this day and commit genocide too. But we ignore that and only pretend that we are the only ones who ever did anything wrong in the world. Even though we're the first to actually end slavery. And you personally, including me personally, never had slaves in our lives and never committed genocide in our lives, to have nothing to feel guilty for. It's also not fair for you to think that you are not allowed your own home, because you are just like I am. But then globalists turn things around and say that even though whites, Caucasians are entitled and racist, actually none of these races even exist. We're all actually all the same and equal in every single way. And by the way, these so-called oppressed minorities, they have their own countries where they can go to, where we are legally not even wanted, but there's nowhere for us to go. And you know who else said we're all completely the same and made people feel as if that's all right and good? Communists. They said the exact same things as globalists, multiculturalists. And you know what that led to? Hundreds of millions of people killed. Many of them in concentration camps. Why don't you Google the gulags? Gulags, and the Chinese Cultural Revolution, and see what this belief that there should be no countries, no cultures, no borders, and that everyone is exactly the same actually leads to. It leads to BS, because all of that is not true and simply is fantasy, and I know it, you know it. And by the way, another people who believe that besides communists and globalists and multiculturalists, also the French revolutionaries. And you know how they killed a lot of people? They cut off their heads in guillotines. Now globalists, they don't kill anyone now. It's a little bit milder than the other ones. But they already banned your right to free speech, because now we have political correctness. What happened to I don't agree with what you say, but will defend your right to say it? Remember that from school? Now, you can only say what is politically correct. Now, some of these opinions, I'm not going to lie, some of them are wrong, but you still have a right to say it. That's what freedom of speech is. If you define what you can and cannot say, then it's no longer freedom of speech. And if we're going to accept globalism, then we also have to destroy every single culture in the world and create a new world with one new culture, one new world. Everything is the same. Do you want that? Or do you want a diverse world with different countries and different people? But I want a diverse world. Why can't we embrace our differences and not destroy them as globalists want? Why can't we? I mean, do you have to have someone to be exactly like you for you not to hate them? No. Because according to globalists, we have to destroy our differences. And did you know that our races, by the way, and I'm embracing our differences, don't just have different skin color or eye shapes and nose shapes. We also have different skeletons, Y DNA, empty DNA, controversially, according to every single test done, different IQs, and we can't even do organ transplants between races. That means if a little Nigerian girl needs a kidney, if you give her one from a white person or Asian, but not another black one, she will die because her body will not accept an organ from a different race. So that's how equal we are. The Constitution says that our government works for us, and our forefathers built this country for us. The government and the media work for us, and the media is just a bunch of people who are owners of a company. That's all. They're not gods. Just because they think that one thing is right and another thing is wrong doesn't mean that it is so. It is simply their opinion. And I want our freedom of speech and our country back. And I believe that every single race and ethnicity on this face of the world has a right to their own country, whether it's the Chinese, Nigerians, Italians, or whoever. Everyone has a right to their own home, to say no to globalism, no to multiculturalism, no to political correctness. Because I, for one, will not sit back and watch my country die. I will not let our right to our own land die, and I will defend it until the day comes when they'll have to kill me to shut me up, because you will have to kill me to shut me up, because I will never accept this country falling apart. I'm an American, and I will fight for America.